Hmm. Welcome, everybody, to Stay Curious. I'm your host, Mark Marquette. Glad that you've joined us for another week. Monday, February 23rd, 2026. And boy, there's a lot of news going on, and we're going to catch up with that tomorrow. Promise you, we're going to talk about the Boeing report from an independent counsel that called it uh, a worst scenario accident without the loss of life. We'll go over some of those points tomorrow and then maybe have some news about the Artemis 2 rollback into the VAB, as there's some uh, problems with the engineering problems. Every time I open up my mouth, people correct me with, no, that's the wrong or thing on that you're saying. But it has involved some valves and fueling of the third stage, and it's, not good. So we're going to talk about that. But behind me, tomorrow, we'll get into the Boeing situation as I'm reading about it and talking to some of my friends to understand exactly what they're saying. So we will go over the Starliner episode tomorrow and stay curious. What a beautiful dinosaur behind us. Actually, this is the um, Sierra Nevada. Okay, Dream Chaser landed behind me. Not sure Dream Chaser's ever gonna chase his dream. We'll find out again. Are you trying to? Are you seeing a little bit that space is hard as all these startup companies are falling the wayside? This Dream Chaser's over 12 years in production and has yet to fly. It was supposed to be the lifeboat to the International Space Station. So not criticizing the process. It is the engineering is challenged to come up with the right thing. So we're going to talk about that today. Got a couple birthdays to celebrate and some Black History astronauts we're going to talk about. Two Black History astronauts winding up America's Black History Month. So hello, Marty Winkle, my friend. How you doing, buddy?
Doing okay,
Today.
Mark. How are you?
Good. I am pushing the button here and seeing that, yep, where everything's A-OK. Asset, first reentry vehicle. All right. We've got Dave Stange there. Says hello to us all. Dean Babcock has his doubts about Artemis Tool ever get off the ground. Jim McDade is saying hi. And this is a forum for you to express your opinions. Not my opinions are not the American Space Museum's opinions. They have no opinions on these outside issues. So I do temper my remarks with that. But I have a lot of legacy people that were involved with Apollo shuttle and uncrewed uh, vehicles that are not very happy about how things are going down the road with NASA and taxpayer dollars and the contractors they're hiring not delivering the goods. So we're going to have an interesting week of shows, I think. I can not, we want to stay true to our roots of the American space worker, and that we shall. All right, Marty, here's our beautiful outside American flag always waving in good weather out front there with the Artemis stimulated rocket on the right and our Saturn V there. We're sponsored today by Lake County Spaceport at Fox Lake, Illinois, where you can get all of your modeling equipment, special paints sometimes, but decals is what our friend Steve Jokums specializes in. Let's look at that beautiful banner and the big up there. There you go. Steve designed this himself with the shuttle and the rocket, and we'll have to have him send me what is his artwork behind this. I see the sunrise over the Earth, limb in blue, red, white, and blue coming out of the shuttle. But what you can't do is paint a thermal protection system on any vehicles. And Steve has decals for that. And I believe he's even taken photographs of some of the orbiters' bellies to make accurate details of the ones they are. And also solar panels are something that you can't paint very easily and be accurate. So if you want an accurate model with solar panels, you're going to go to Lake County Spaceport on Facebook or website. And Steve is also a beautiful modeler. In fact, I didn't pull down, but I'll show you before we have Shuttle Fest, he's putting together a Vostok, no, I'm sorry, excuse me, a Soyuz uh, rocket and Soyuz spacecraft to be shown at Shuttle Fest, Marty. There is Steve with some of his beautiful models behind there. Look at that whole Saturn V on the launch platform there he's got. And I see looks like a Titan on the right and Saturn V behind Steve there. He's dressed up there like a NASA engineer or space astronaut there, Steve. Thank you for all you do. I talked to him on the phone, Marty, over the weekend, and he said business is good, and we hope that we're helping do that. After all, he gives us a healthy percentage of his business every year. And thank you so much, Steve, for your help. Black History Month is a serious thing everywhere in America, but no more so than in Titusville, Florida, where you see the Moores, Harry and Harriet T. Moore there. Harry T. Moore and his wife Harriet. They were school teachers who were murdered in their home with a bomb explosion on Christmas night, 1953. And that was the first really civil rights moment of violence. And the 2 years before Martin Luther King and Medgar Edgar's incident on a bus in the South. This is 10 miles from here is their center where it's a beautiful homage to them. They recreated the house. And so it means a lot to us that we celebrate our astronauts during Black History Month here, where this horrible tragedy started now some 76 years ago. By the way, Harry and Harriet Moore are the only martyrs couple ever murdered in the civil rights movement. He advocated for voter rights, registered African Americans to vote all over the state, and they're both school teachers. So we'll talk about a couple great astronauts here in just a few minutes. After we get a birthday or two out of the way, here is Clayton Conrad Anderson, 76 years old today. Marty, he is the only astronaut from this state. Has only one astronaut. Would you care to guess what state it is?
North Dakota.
Good choice there. But it's Nebraska. Born in Omaha, Nebraska, considers Ashland, Nebraska to be his home. Born February 23rd, 1959. He has 157 days in space, 167 days in space. He has an active Facebook page. I put that on. Here he is with his family, with his Nebraska Cornhuskers on there. He must have played football. I don't have that in my notes. He was rejected 14 times being an astronaut. All right. And he stayed in the Corps 15 years. He's an author, a motivational speaker. He is now in the Ames, Iowa area. 167 days, including 152 days, is Expedition 15. That was in 2007. So 6 spacewalks also. All right. And there he is signing his book. He's got a couple books out there. Do I have his book? Let's see what his book is. It's a very popular book, and I can't think of the name of it. All right. So we've got it on our Facebook page. I didn't share that. He also speaks his mind on Facebook. He's very active on Facebook. So go friend him, and he does take NASA to task over some things occasionally. So I haven't read what he's saying about Artemis, but there's a cool picture that every astronaut wants to do is get a bubble of water in front of them and then take their picture. Okay, it looks like he's got a little goatee, but that's the shadow of the bubble there. With he's upside down in a refracted image. Also passed away last year, but we wanted to give some love to Mark Garneau, who would have been 77 today. He died back in July, I believe, of a unexpected cancer. went through him very quickly. Born in Quebec City, Quebec, Canada, 29 days in space. He was a member of the Liberal Party and was um, uh, he was a cabinet minister for 7 years, a minister of foreign affairs, our State Department representative is Mark Garneau. So wanted to remember him on this anniversary of his birthday. All right, the feature presentation today is a nice little story on something that you might not know about, but and hopefully you care about. All right, Marty, go ahead. You got something to share with me?
Yeah, Mark. He wrote The Ordinary, wait a minute, The Ordinary Spaceman.
What?
The Ordinary Spaceman.
Ordinary Spaceman. That's his book. Thank you very much. Yes, Ordinary Spaceman. Thank you for that. Keith Sewell's in Achille, Arkansas. Dr. Sewell, thank you for joining us. Uh, and so, yes, Steve's got some old Estes models there. Cliff Watson, good to see you on there. Bonjour to Ophelia in France. All right. Watson's down there in Australia. And Tom Celentano, boy, did you see the snow up there in the Connecticut area, Marty? Like a foot of snow there. So one of the sports shows I watched, they said it was like, everybody came and spent the night before so they could get there. But yep, good old blizzard up there in the Northeast. Go ahead, Marty.
It looks like he also wrote, So You Want to Be an Astronaut. He wrote, It's a Question of Space, and Letters from Space, and A is for Astronaut. Children's books.
Yes, yeah, he's very articulate. We'd love to meet him. He's a guy that should be out to Astronaut Encounter. Like I said, he speaks his mind about some of the current issues. And check him out, Clay Anderson. Hope he's enjoying his birthday today. And all right. Oh, I'm going backwards. We're giving some more love there to Jokums there. Thank you, Steve. And he is a fabulous modeler. And but he's dedicated to it, and that means you have to have a model shop bench. Anybody that does any hobby, you don't want to roll it out and out every time you do something. So he's got all the tools and the comfort level to do that, and most importantly, his wife supports him. So that's always a good plus on there to have your wife supporting you in your events there. So hopefully meet her one day. Um, all right, asset. Here's a little vehicle, 6 feet tall, about 5 feet wide. It does weigh half a ton, and it's covered with materials for reentry to withstand 4,000 degrees. This is basically the nose cap section of the X-20 Dinosaur, the space plane that was going to be built and got canceled. We'll see a picture of that in a minute. Okay, this was a an asset stands for. Are you ready? Aerothermodynamic, Elastic Structural Systems Environmental Tests. So it's an aerothermodynamic elastic structural systems thermodynamic test. The elastic comes in that this was not all metal. This was other ceramics. This was other materials being tested on this to withstand 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit at the nose cap, because the Dinosaur was an aerodynamic V-shaped, delta-shaped spacecraft that the shuttle turned out to be. All right. And we'll see, here's a picture of it on top of the rocket. All right. Now, they didn't even put a nose cone over the rocket. All right. And the idea was that they were going to go these up suborbital. The altitude was kilometers high. They were in the 60-kilometer range. That's 36 miles high. Okay, they didn't get weightlessness. 6 of them were launched from September 1963 to February 1965. One of them was recovered. They had a flotation equipment attached to this. after taking it up to about 50, 60, like I said, 35 miles, and then letting it come back down. On the pad, it looks very interesting. Okay, it was launched on a it was launched on a I want to say Juno. Here, I'm reading here. There's something different that tells me. Originally, a Scout launch vehicle had been planned and was changed to the surplus of a Thor and Thor Delta missiles. All right, so it was a Thor we're looking at there. And the Thor and Thor Delta were at the United Kingdom, okay, uh, on their soil. And they, instead of building more, they shipped them back there. But there it is at the very top, okay. And the first one survived reentry, but the flotation equipment failed on it. These got to over 4,000 miles a second. Okay. The second one was destroyed in a launch. So then they did it again in July 64. It was the most data from one. Survived reentry, all mission goals met. Recovered 12 hours after launch and is preserved somewhere. I don't know where. All the others sunk in the Atlantic Ocean, but there is a one at the Sands History Museum there. This is the one that they got returned to Earth. And the Sands History Museum there is the um, dinosaur, okay, on reentry. So you see the very similar look at the tip of the dinosaur there, and that's what they're trying to recreate up there. The dinosaur was going to be a single or tandem two-man spacecraft by the Air Force. That could you imagine a fleet of 100 of these out there at Edwards Air Force Base and here at Cape Canaveral Space Force? Wouldn't that be interesting? This is where we should have gone, maybe. Do you think so? Or, it's just the quick access to space we could have had continuing the dinosaur program instead of it being canceled along with the manned orbiting laboratory, another concept. So, good afternoon, Tom Usiak. Jim McDade said he'll be back. That's good. Here is the asset. That's how you spell it there. Should have had that up front when I said aerothermodynamic elastic structural systems environmental tests. I would like to see that on Jeopardy, Marty. Does the acronym ASSET stand for in NASA? Aerothermodynamic elastic structural systems environmental tests, of course. So that's one of my favorite things out there at Sands. Connie McDaniel, who walks past that all the time as she volunteers at the gift shop a lot there. And by the way, hello to Sharon Gonzalez, who keeps things running out there at the Sands History Museum. And saying hi to the Woods. Don't know if the Woods are watching from Canada. They're here in the building. Didn't want to be on camera today, but their father and two sons are here. Thank you for checking out our museum today. Busy day today in the museum, by the way. So here's the asset. There's another model of it out at, I don't believe that model's out there. I think that's the one they took inside. Okay. Anymore. And there is the one that got returned, checking it out. So very important piece of the puzzle of how to bring things into space without burning them up. And the fact that they succeeded in doing this in 1965, actually the successful test was in 64, and then they did three more. They met all the goals. They just didn't recover. They got the telemetry back, and it landed safely. So that was the biggest deal. There it is back in the shop. All the technicians of the day checking it out. And there it is in the configuration that they apparently didn't put a And this, of course, led to the shuttle, an early concept of a space shuttle returning from space with the red glow. And like we talked about, this is what the Dream Chaser was going to be. With it was originally Sierra Nevada, now just transitioned to Sierra. Several shuttle astronauts have been involved in this project, and still no go. Over 12 years in development, and it has gone from being a crewed space plane to a cargo space plane. All right. So the environmental control system's never been worked out. So just another program that was highly touted, a lot of media press, a lot of we're going to do this, we're going to Sierra Nevada. We're going to create a space plane to dock at the space station, and that could be a lifeboat, and it still has not come to fruition. Space is hard. All right. There is, what's that? Another derivation of asset. This is, of course, the X-37B, Air Force top secret space plane. Well, sort of secret space plane. They have revealed some of the experiments in there with long duration materials being exposed for up to 2 years now. I don't think one of these is orbiting right now. I try to keep up with it. I don't think we've launched one in a while, like 5 or 6 months. The last one came down, but this was when the Falcon Heavy or Falcon 9 launched one. And there is the X-37B out on the runway when it landed here at the Kennedy Space Center. And of course, the toxic materials around it. We have two of these. They've each flown 3 times, I believe. Both of them got up to over 2 years in orbit. But it all started with little asset there. All right. Sort of the reentry capsule that could. The Aerothermodynamic Elastic Structural Systems Environmental Tests. A important chapter in the mid-60s of reusable spacecraft and the shuttle program. All right, as promised, we want to talk about Black History Month. Okay, there are over 17 Black Americans who have been to space. Okay, we're going to talk about one who wasn't to space and a couple who were. But Robert Satcher here, the first orthopedic surgeon in space, 11 days on STS-129. He did 2 spacewalks. Born in Hampton, Virginia, he grew up in Denmark, South Carolina. Okay, and there's not much difference between those two areas, really. He got chemical engineering at Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Then he went on to study medicine at Harvard. Talk about one smart guy, Marty. Doctorate in chemical engineering at MIT. And then I think, oh, that's not enough. I'm going to study medicine at Harvard. And he did his intern and residency at University of California. And he is part of the oncology department at University of Texas Anderson Cancer Center. He's been working there the last 10 years. He's done medical outreach around the world. He's an Albert Schweitzer Fellow. You don't hear Albert Schweitzer's name very often, Marty. There's something that is from our past. Albert Schweitzer was a real pioneer of Africa and third world countries. And Satcher has been, there he is in outer space. He has been in Nicaragua, Venezuela, Nigeria, Gambia. So good for him. 15 peer-reviewed publications as an oncologist at the University of Texas Medical Anderson Cancer Center. So there is Robert Thatcher until, I think he was the last African American in space until Victor Glover went out, about a 10-year gap. And there is one of our friends that we need to catch up with. We used to hear quite a bit from Sharon Caples McDougall there. She's the modern day hidden figure, author of Suit Up with Shay. She was a suit technician, all right, and she suited up all the black astronauts, including Mae Jemison, testing out there, not here at the Space Center. She was at the Johnson Space Center where she suited them up. And here, and we'll show a picture here in just a second of her with one of those astronauts. So a great story, Sharon McDougall. We always love saluting you. Hope when you're in town you can come check us out, and so we can get you live on Stay Curious here. She's married to a gentleman that works in the neutral buoyancy lab, with all the EVAs done there in Houston. Well, there is Sharon with Guy Bluford. All right, and there he signed this. Somebody needed to sharpen up that Sharpie he used there, it looks like. But Guy Stewart Bluford Jr. was born November 22nd, 1942 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Okay, he was a fighter pilot in the Air Force, colonel, and he is the first African American of African descent to go to space. Um, he, of course, was in the class with uh, uh, Fred Gregory on the right, and um, help me out on the left there, having a brain moment there, senior moment. Ron McNair, the Ron McNair Fellowship that our Spanish educator, STEAM educator got. Ron McNair, Guy Bluford, and there is Fred Gregory. And met Fred. You have too, Marty, several times.
He'll be here next week.
Is he going to be here this week?
Next week.
Okay.
Sunday.
All right. Got to try to get out there and see some astronauts. Let's see. He's technically the first African American is the Cuban astronaut that Russia took up. Okay, so that was Mendez. All right, so they technically say he's the second, and I put an asterisk on that. Let's see. He studied laser physics in 1978 at the Air Force Institute of Technology. Educated in Houston and Wharton School of Business. All right, but Bluford, famous picture. We did a story on these evacuation pods, and imagine being dexterous enough to get in there and not claustrophobic, and have a 1 hour oxygen tank while an astronaut picks you up and carries you from one shuttle to the other. No, thank you. All right. 61A German D1 space mission was his first in 1985. He was on STS-39 on Discovery. Did a lot of research on the Earth aurora and background radiation. I'm missing one. Oh, no, his first mission was 8. Yeah. His first mission was STS-8. So 8, 61A, 39, and 53. Okay. He was on Challenger and Discovery, and a DoD mission was his last on Discovery. So 4 flights, total of 29 days in space. Okay, and an American hero and an inspiration to African Americans and all people of color. Let's see, he was an Eagle Scout. And he's been active with Northrop Grumman in the past in aerospace technology. Of course, who wouldn't want to have him on your board of directors? And has really stepped up in the community all over. Penn State, okay. Didn't see Penn State in his graduate there. Let's see, Oprah Magazine. Guy Bluford has, let's look us into his mind here. I have a couple quotes here. He said, when I came into the program, there were 6 women in our class, and you had me and Ron McNair and Fred Gregory, 3 African Americans, and 1 Asian American, Allison Onizuka. So we recognized that we were breaking the mold with reference to astronauts who were primarily male and white. We knew that one of us would eventually get selected, the first woman, the first African American. Elle didn't have any competition for first Asian American. I didn't anticipate being selected. I was happy to learn that in 1982 I would fly as part of STS 8, and it just so happened to be a historic mission in reference to being the first African American to fly in space. I feel honored to be in that role. Once I got down, I wanted to fly a second time, which I did in 1985. And then we had the Challenger accident in 1986. We lost Ron and the company. I wanted to stay around, and I flew a third and fourth time. One of the things that I really wanted to do was not only to break the mold, but to help pull other African Americans into the program and get them to fly. I feel honored with reference to not only leading the charge, but helping a bunch of other African Americans who came behind me. I take a great deal of pride in that, said Guy Bluford in Oprah magazine, which probably 20 years ago on that. So still true today. And at age 83, there's a tribute to him at one of his alma maters there. The picture of him on the bicycle treadmills really populates the airways, so to speak. So there you are with our tribute to Black History Month. As usual, we like any opportunity to pinpoint on sharing these great American astronauts. And there we have one today. So thank you very much for allowing us to do that. Hope that you like my new fashions today, Marty. You didn't say anything about my vest today.
I like it. We were just too busy before the show started. But
Oh, there you go.
looks nice.
Got a turtleneck on here. Is that cool today? Actually, going to have freezing temperatures today, but we know that some of you are digging out of a big snowstorm up there, and we got some good comments today that Fred Gregory, Sharon McDougal's birthday today is what he's saying.
Hey, Sharon, I'm not sure if it's
Today is Sharon's birthday today. Tom Usiak's saying that. I got what she was sharing, huh? We'll look that up there as I look at all you guys' information there. But Jim McDade, he loves Fred Gregory. Yeah, he is an awesome guy. Fred don't talk much about. I've talked to him on a couch on several occasions, sort of thing. He likes talking about the universe and the Hubble telescope and the Webb, and he's a real forward-thinking guy. He don't rest on his laurels, does he, Marty? He don't talk about himself a lot, is what I'm saying. Back me up there, buddy. Okay. RG Jubilee, Rosalie Hope, thank you for getting us our week kicked off here. Cliff Watson down in Australia, Steve Jokums in Illinois, John the Beagle Dad, thank you. Dave Stange in Michigan, Dean Babcock, he's in Illinois. Jim McDade, he is at the Rocket Ranch in Huntsville. Tom Celentano, he's hiring some guys to dig his car out probably up there in Connecticut. Carlton Bailey, CB, down the road here. He's covering up those, maybe some of his sensitive plants. Better bring those in. Mitch Rothman, probably going to get cold down Lake Wales here in Florida. Mark Thell, thanks to you for watching. Mostly Parked is Marion. He's local. Dr. Keith Sewell's in Arkansas. Ophelia Sauterel in France. Yes, she's in Toulouse, France. Tommy Usiak, he's bundled up there with his wife Vicky there in Pennsylvania. And Gary Gerald, I'm curious about the Vidalia onions. How'd they survive the winter down there, buddy? So looking forward to that. That's our favorite farmer in Georgia there. So, all right. If it's Sharon McDougal's birthday, then happy birthday to you, Sharon. And we hope to see you soon. And she was the suit tech in Houston. So until tomorrow, where we're going to, I'm going to stay up and make some charts up and stay true to the actual report of the Boeing fiasco, what was said about it, and what is really the underlying problem. Okay, and it's something that scares the legacy managers and people associated with the American space program. So we'll take that on tomorrow, I promise. Thank you, Steve Jokums. Your Lake County Spaceport is your place to get decals like these for your bellies of your shuttles and the solar panels of your International Space Station. So until tomorrow, a special program I promise you on the Starliner Report. I'm Mark Marquette, and I can't wait to see you in our museum to bridge the space between us.